Hello and welcome to this first Total War Arena mechanics video. It's been requested by quite a lot of people and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. Now that I have 400 battles and I've poked around in the database quite a bit, there are some things that I find that are quite interesting. One of them being hidden statistics. Now, you probably remember from other Total War games there is something called a bonus versus cavalry or bonus versus elephant, so bonus versus large. Spears don't have a bonus against cavalry in Total War Arena. No bonus versus cavalry. However, what they do have is they have a longer range on the weapon than shorter swords. So the range of a spear is set to 2, which is 4 times higher than a short sword. When you have cavalry fighting spears in extended melee, it's not a bonus on the spear that kills the cavalry faster, it's more spears being able to hit the cavalry models. And in my opinion, this is a great change from just giving a dumb bonus on the spears. Now another thing is that the bonus versus infantry is almost gone from the game. Aside from 2 units, there's one unit that isn't in the game yet. Pontic Swords has a bonus versus infantry. But Principe, if you look at their stats here, their weapon damage of 197, they have an armor piercing of 23 and a base damage of 191. And Principe are one of those units that perform reasonably well for their tier, and can even hang with some higher tier units. One of the reasons being, they have a hidden bonus against infantry on their swords of 8. So that helps them do more damage and increases their melee attack slightly against enemy infantry. Now the other unit that has a bonus against infantry, a higher bonus, a bonus of 11, will be these Praetorians. And if we stack the bonus versus infantry on the Praetorians, the armor piercing damage of 20, you could say, oh well, that's a bit low, the armor piercing damage of 20 that they have. In effect, it's among the highest armor penetration values in the game, because they have an 11 bonus versus infantry on their weapon, making their armor piercing damage in effect 31. Now, if you consider that they can bring the yellow Coticule whetstone as well, they are swinging at 38 armor penetration in effect against infantry. So Praetorians are deadly against enemy infantry, and the hidden bonus of 11 is one of the reasons why. So if we compare the Praetorians to the Imperial Guard, you see that the weapon damage for the Imperial Guard is 242, while the weapon damage for the Praetorians is 240. But in reality, the starting weapon damage for the Praetorians is higher than the weapon damage for the higher tier Imperial Guard. So, main point to take home: no bonus versus cavalry, but the differences in weapon length makes for the effect that kills cavalry faster in extended melee. And another thing to keep in mind is that if we take a look at cavalry units that have swords. So for example, here we have let's see, where are the Aspis companions? Here we have the Aspis companions. The Aspis companions use a sword in melee, and that is slightly problematic for them because it gives them a shorter range. The range on swords is usually between 0.5 and 0.75. That gives them a shorter range. So when they're fighting, for example, against Thracian Royal Cavalry, the Thracian Royal Cavalry will have a range of 2. In essence, meaning that more men are able to fight against single enemy targets and thus kill them faster. It also makes spears better against infantry than they otherwise would be. So let's compare, for example, for Rome. Let's compare here the Triarii Triarii with Hastati, units of the same tier. Now, the weapon damage of the Triarii is 175, with just a standard value, while with no upgrades. With the Hastati, it is the weapon damage is 181 with no upgrades, higher armor piercing, higher base damage. However, one of the things that makes the Triarii able to hold their own is that they have a longer range on their weapons, I believe. Now, there is some guesswork in here, but I think one of the reasons we see spears performing better against swords than we previously have seen, not necessarily the weapon damage or armor penetration in itself, because that is lower, but the range on the spear, meaning that more spears should be able to fight against the swordsmen, where essentially you will have swordsmen only fighting in one rank if they haven't penetrated the formation significantly. So those are some hidden stats in terms of bonuses versus infantry and cavalry. The Italian nobles have a bonus versus elephants of some sort, but keep in mind that this is the alpha version of Arena, so I'm sure we're going to see some changes to some of these things as the game reaches beta and then finally the release stage, with more bonuses being applied. But for now, spears don't have a bonus versus cavalry, and the only 2 units in the game currently that have a bonus versus infantry are the Praetorians and the Principe for Rome. Strength and honor.